Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy autumn. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Rob Romanowski. I'm the Director of Sales Operations for 3HTI. And today we are going to take a look at the interactive surface design extension for Creo. So leading this demonstration and overview today is Andrea Francis, my Scottish friend from Pittsburgh. Um, she'll be leading everything today. So if you have any questions, please pop those into the Q&A. We'll answer them at the end. And without further ado, Andrea, you may take the con.
Thank you, Rob, and
You're
welcome
welcome.
everybody. So, as Rob said, today we will be walking through our interactive surface design extension, or ISDX for short. And this is an extension that we have inside of Creo specifically for technical and even free-form surfacing capability. We do very high quality types of surfaces. We're able to do them with this extension. So just taking a look at a high level as to why you would even want this type of extension. If you're working with different types of models that need these high degree sort of complex curves and surfaces and a lot of precision going into them. But you want a tool that is not something you need a PhD for, or you would still it would still need to be easy, but you would still be able to achieve the high level of quality with it. You don't want to struggle really with creating these free form and complex types of surfaces. You don't want any limited type of flexibility. You want to be as creative as possible without going out of your design tool that is Creo. You don't want to rely on a third party for your conceptual design or even creating new ideas, and then evaluating and ensuring that everything is making sense, that it's aesthetic, the styling is there, but also the precision of the requirements that you're achieving for is there. We have that tool called interactive surface design extension. So what it does, it's combining the free form and the technical aspect of surfacing all in one intuitive environment. You're able to build surfaces very quickly and have full control over your entire process. So it's kind of a unique design environment that maximizes your efficiency and your productivity. The way that we do it is, first of all, we have the intuitive UI of Creo. We're able to work within our regular tools, within our ribbon, within our designed environment, but we also provide a four-window display to help you build features from multiple angles, and I'll show those as I go through the demonstration. With it, you're able to quickly edit and create your free form curves. We have enhanced capabilities for different types of curves and surfaces that you can go ahead and create. And this is adding on to the already existing surfacing capabilities that we have with just our base Creo license. So we can do isoline curves, curves on surface, curve from surface, projections. We can analyze curves as well for tangency, curvature, acceleration, continuous, to really ensure the high quality at the end for our manufacturing. So we can go in, create those flexible interactive surfaces, boundary, loft, blend types of surfaces. We can do smart curves as well and surface connections, different types of geometries in the sense of they can be tied to your standard Creo features as well. So you're not just designing in the environment that is ISDX or style in this case, but you can also interact and take other curves maybe or sketches from your regular features inside of Creo and bring them in to really tailor the shape of the model that you are working with. So you can work with 2D, you can even work with 3D aspects as well. So we can take a sketch from our designer, from our concept designer, and bring that in. We can bring in facet geometry and use that to really build out the surfaces that we have. And who is this meant for? Really, it's for concept and industrial type of engineers. They are working to build their complex shapes, their cosmetic shapes on their model without having to rely on other tools that is not Creo that bringing forth that aspect of it and that process, all to keep the intelligence all within Creo. So that's as far as presentation. I won't bore you too much with slides, but let's get right into it with our demonstration. And here we're going to work on our handguard assembly, taking a look at a cover that we're going to put over our metal handguard. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take the case of starting from scratch, starting from a sketched out concept from our industrial design. What we can do is we can bring in 2D sketches and images directly inside of Creo to use as our foundation for our 3D modeling that we're going to do. So we can bring in our image, size it to the width and height, place it exactly on the planes that we want, and even apply transparency as well to see the images properly. And we can do that for all of the different orientations and the planes that we would need to fully build out that 3D model. In my case, I have a front and a top to build out my cover. And as you can see, I'm using my image, building it on or adding it onto my top plane in this case to be used for the initial designing that I'm going to be. Now, we can use different capabilities inside of Creo to make our lives easier, starting with multi-body capabilities. So those can be used to, as part of our surfacing design, and as we're building out the shapes, we can use the multi-body to maybe bring in geometry from outside resources like an assembly that might be interacting with this file and using it to cut elements maybe of our handguard, which we'll do at the end of the demo here to kind of piece together those components and made them together to fully build out our assembly. But let's actually start out and building out the cover itself. So we're going to go into what is called the style feature, and this is our ISDX extension. And you can think of the style tool as a super feature, where if you can see my screen right now, we have a style tree on the left-hand side, and this will contain all of the geometry that we're going to be building out inside of style within that one feature in our model tree. So we don't have a cluttered model tree at the end of this entire process. So starting off, we can lay out our curves. We have different types of curves to design with. First of all, just a free form curve onto our model. We can use capabilities like doing some curvature analysis to really understand if we have any inflection points or if we have a smooth curve that we've designed. So we have tools around that where we can display out that plot and even work with our 4-window display that I talked about in the presentation to really build out from different perspectives and orientation the model or the curve itself that we are working with. I can go in and even add in points to move around my model much more smoothly. I can add in midpoints, just regular points as well, to properly control exactly the position of where those sketched curves are going. And we're following, in this case, the drawing from the image that we brought in and ensuring as we have the analysis of the curvature that everything we are designing and creating makes sense and it's not going to cause us any issues down the line. So we can do that as well from the bottom, still going in and adding in our curves with the analysis of our curvature and still working with our 4-window display. In this case, to change our focus, maybe move instead of our top screen, going in our bottom screen and really tailoring exactly where that curve is going to go. But really, what I'm doing in here is I'm laying out the foundation to build out my different complex types of surfaces. right? I can interact with different types of curves, so we can do different types of degrees of curves inside of ISDX with the new versions of Creo. So starting with Creo 11, we've added the capability to go down degrees as well to degree 2, like a conic type curve, and degree 1 type curve, so a straight line essentially. But we have those breadth of capabilities to ensure that you're precisely defining the curves that you would like. And for the curves, we were working with freeform initially, but we can even do curves on planes. So this will ensure that if I already have some sketched out outline or a skeleton or copy geometry from a model that I brought in, or geometry that I'm associating with an assembly, for example, I can use those to be my control curves and then design the curves itself that I have, in this case, the direction of where my cover is going to go based on those on the specific plane that I want. And I can manipulate exactly where my points are going to lie on my plane based on those curves. And as we make changes and make edits, it's going to be much more flexible to changes. If we make a change to our skeleton or to our outline, it's going to be propagated down to those curves. And thus the changes are going to be associated with them. And I'll show that example at the end as well. If we make the change to the outline, how does that affect the curves? But this is it from just a definition perspective of drawing in our curves. Once we have a good amount drawn out, we can go ahead and define our surfaces, right? We can decide if we're doing a boundary surface. We can even set controlling curves to really define exactly where that boundary or that control is going to go, ensuring the smoothness is there, or helping even to transition from one surface to another. We can do all of those different capabilities inside of ISDX. So continuing on from the top perspective, I'm going in and still defining in my curves. I'm building out the two surfaces for the top itself. It's kind of following that same process, but we can also add capabilities ensuring the tangency, acceleration continuous. We can work with curvature again, and with the multi-view, what helps you really when you're working from the 4-window display that we initially had is if you have these different types of orientations or perspectives, if you need to define the tangency at a really weird angle and you can't reach it easily, for you to go in and see it from the 4 angles, it's much more easier to go in and choose, oh, maybe I need a point here, even though I have a tangency or I have a continuous defined, but maybe I need an additional point here to control my curve a bit better. So this helps you really go in, refine at a deeper level exactly where it is that you're putting points, putting datum points, and you're controlling features for those curves. So let's see, let's go in and add in our final few curves and final few surfaces. In this case, we have our denture that we're adding in from the top. And in this case, we're going to use that curve to be the controlling for the dent of how much we want of a bump inside of it. But we can use it and easily define out that surface that maybe at the end of the process, we're going to thicken and create into our solid shape that we would like. So once we've finished picking and choosing the control of the tangency, the position, the continuous, the acceleration continuous, we can go ahead and finish off with bottom portion as well, and then start thinking about what we're going to do once we have that surface or that quilt at the end. So a part of working with these complex types of surfaces is we want to ensure that they are of the highest quality possible. And that's why we have different analysis tools inside of Style or inside of ISDX to properly guide you if you need to make any changes, if you need to smooth out a part of your surface or merge them together better. We have, first of all, the capability that you saw at the beginning with the curvature analysis, but we can also do reflection analysis as well. And we'll do that once I'm done building out that curve. But with the reflection analysis, what we're able to analyze is we can check the transitions between our different surfaces. We want to see how smooth they are. Are we getting the high quality type of surfaces that we would need, or are we not meeting our requirements and we need to go in and either redefine the surfaces or fix something with our curve definition because it's not meeting our standards? So we're able to do all of that with our reflection type of analysis. Let's see, let's finish off here before we go into the analysis. Let's finish off building out the model. A couple of more surfaces here at the bottom to finish off that cover. So we have the first one. We can pick and choose onto the properties, ensuring we have some tangency in place, and then the final portion with the denture that we have to close off that model. Okay. So once we have the surface itself built out, we can go into our analysis and start taking a look at what are some types of analysis other than curvature that we can see. So here on the top of my ribbon, you can see the different types of analysis that we have. We worked with curvature at the beginning. We have reflection, which I talked about. Previously, we have knots. We can do connections as well to check between the connections of our different surfaces. But let's see how the reflection itself of the cover looks. We can, of course, go ahead and change the lighting, the spacing, the coloring as well to take a look at it from different perspectives, the angle as well of where the light is going to hit on it. But if we're happy with it, that's great. Now we can move on to merge our surfaces to build out our full quilt and thicken and solidify that model. So I just hit my images so they're not in the way, but we're going to start by merging in those different surfaces. So we have those, we can go ahead and pick and choose on them and make sure that they merge and attach together to really define out uh, the full scope of what that cover is going to look like. We can also go ahead and use geometry that we've either built out within our model tree, or maybe we've brought in geometry from outside components that piece together into this cover to fully attach together. So we can use something like a cut to cut out parts of the cover to ensure that it's going to align well with some of the other features or some of the other parts that we have in our assembly. We can apply regular Creo capabilities like rounds and chamfers and things like that. And we can use copy geometry as well from maybe skeleton or larger assembly brought in to cut out exactly the parts that we need to fit together for that assembly. So this is a lot of what we're able to do inside of Creo is we can piece together not just the building out of the surfaces and the curves, but also tying it back to the models that you're working with, like your larger assembly to the components that go onto that assembly and how they play around together and how they define each other. And a part of that is that associativity that you get. And the advantage of that is if there is a change, whether it's to the geometry that you define in the part itself, or in the skeleton or the outline or the assembly itself, or the copy geom that you reference and brought in here to piece around your surfaces, those are going to be pushed directly to the design that you've made. An example of that would be, in my case, let's say, let me just finish off here with building out that cut. But if I have a change to the size of my cover itself. I might have a certain dimension on my handguard that might have changed due to a design review process. What happens to my design, right? If I'm utilizing my copy geometry or my outline, I can bring those in and make a change to them very simply. And then those are going to be immediately propagated down to my part itself. So after I, let's say, thicken it, I have the actual solid. Now I can go in and manipulate it. What am I making a change to in my case? It might be to just the shape of the metal guard that goes into it. And if I'm using that hand card geometry inside of my styling to be referenced in it, now that is going to update the shape and the size and the geometry of the cover that I created. So that shows the full associativity, the regeneration of the models that we have, and the full advantage of really working with a tool like Style inside of Creo. So just finishing off here, and then we'll take questions in a minute. But to summarize all of this, really what you get with this extension is increased productivity and efficiency. You're able to worry less about wasting time going from one tool to another and fully bringing in surfacing inside of Creo. You can create those precise, manufacturable, high quality types of geometry and products without worrying about complexity of the tool, or if the tool itself is easy, you don't have the full capabilities to build out those surfaces. You have kind of the best of both worlds. It's relatively easy to build out those complex surfaces, and you still maintain the quality that you get at the end. You don't have to worry about your cycle times or maybe physical prototypes sometimes to test things out. You can properly evaluate your designs and making them as well much more flexible to changes because they tie to the entire process of the design that you have to the full assembly inside. And that covers what I wanted to go over. Any questions, or Rob, anything else you wanted to mention?
No questions, Andrea, but this is absolutely a fantastic extension for Creo. I think there's a lot of really good extensions for Creo. I think this is one that stands out along with advanced assembly, just with the capabilities that it gives the user and the flexibility that it gives the user. So thank you very much for doing a great overview and a great demo to convey that message, Andrea.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. So thanks everyone for being on today. I will have the recording posted to YouTube by tomorrow, and we'll send out an email to all registrants with the link to the recording. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us today, and have a great day and a great weekend. And as Andrea would say, go Steelers, right? Take care, everyone.